Hello everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you very much for joining me here. Happy Sunday to you. Hope you have an amazing weekend with you and your family. What we're going to do is, of course, take another look at Bitcoin. So if you're new to the channel, thank you so much for joining me, of course. But what we do is we always look at a best practice, big picture, help you understand kind of what's going to happen next, and just generally, throw in some friendly advice there too. I'm full of friendly advice, and hopefully you can learn something here today. If you're new to the channel, once again, CryptoCache.tech is a site, link in the description below if you want to become a better trader. I have a trading community, academy, and signal group where I basically share all of my trades. I have an academy where you can learn how to become a better trader. And most important, an amazing community that is all learning and growing together. Really, truly do love this experience. Thank you again to my current community members. So taking a look here at Bitcoin. Big picture, still sucks, but we had a nice green day yesterday. At least, decent, you could say. It definitely looked like it wanted to decline, but it ended up bouncing up. And that gravestone from Friday didn't matter too much, which is kind of odd because oftentimes you see a gravestone, the price should come down. But once again, Friday was a low volume day. So typically low volume going into a Friday, at least compared to the previous 4 days, usually implies sell-off throughout the weekend. We haven't seen that so far, which is great. Could imply we might see some type of profits being taken on Monday. Once again, that is potential. But regardless, take a look here at the monthly. Let's go ahead and start with the big picture here and look at some of the moving averages. And just to confirm, once again, we're underneath the 20-day SMA. Until we get back up over the 20, it'll effectively be a continuation. I wouldn't say to the downside. It's not just going to keep going down because it's below that. But until we're back up above that, we can anticipate the price action going at best sideways. Obviously, that makes sense, but if you continue to see this here, the moving average will continue to work itself out. And what I'm getting at here as well is if you take a look at this older time frame, this older chart, when we dropped below the 20, we spent about 6 months underneath the 20, and it took a little while for it to recover. In fact, it took about 3 months for it to bottom out. We're about 1 month, maybe 2, into this potential downtrend underneath the 20-day simple moving average. So that does imply we might have another month or two worth of red, followed by some green to recover as we bounce potentially off the 50-day simple moving average. So if we take a look at the 50-day SMA, it's hanging out right here at the lower Fibonacci retracement line, here at about 21,000. So again, is it going to go as low as 21,000? We don't know. Possibly, shouldn't, hopefully doesn't. There's a lot of different factors involved, but the bottom line is that should be the bottom for us here, right? So just keep that in mind. All right. So taking a look here, of course, at a couple of other factors. Let's go ahead and see kind of what's going on here with the daily. Actually, no, let's go ahead and take a look at the weekly too as well, because I did want to highlight that we are seeing this price right here, pretty much the exact same thing. The 200-day SMA on the weekly is also a potential bottom at 21,000. Now again, if and when we get there, it'll probably be more like 22 to 23,000. We shouldn't experience a price point much lower than 24, but there is possible. Anything's possible, and there is a possibility that could occur. So I just want you to be kind of aware that we have some awesome moving averages working their way up, potentially going to hold the price action in place, but we also have some disadvantageous moving averages pushing the price action down and essentially confirming that we're still in a bearish type of environment. Okay. Now, will we see a rally potentially this week? Sure, that's very much a probability considering how much volume we saw last week and that extremely large doji candle on Thursday. But at this point, we can expect the overall trend to continue down. That's the general idea, all right? So until we break this downward trend, we are still considered to be in a declining market. That being said, looking at the daily, we're below all moving averages, excuse me, and we can kind of see here, of course, that we're peaking back above, but more so kind of drawn dead right at the 30 on the RSI. That does potentially work as a resistance level, so we could experience that, this might be the immediate highest point for Bitcoin at 30,000. Hopefully not, of course. We'd like to see that continue to progress upwards to test 32 again, but generally speaking, at this point, the RSI is kind of telling us that we are stuck closer to 30, which in most cases the prices will recover from there, but there's no guarantees, right? A lot of the big picture stuff is telling us we're still in a decline. Having a small little bounce makes sense, but how long will it last? It will probably, at best, if it were to come back up, I would say 37,500 is probably a better case scenario, but probably more importantly, somewhere in the range of 34,000, possibly even just say 32 as the most recent highest point. Once again, one of one of any of those scenarios could unfold, right? No one truly does know, but the big picture here is that it does look like the momentum is waning. And with that increased amount of volume that we can see here in the last 4 trading days prior to the weekend, we can see Monday through Thursday, a significant amount of increased volume. And with this doji on Wednesday, kind of tells us that the bears have potentially lost their control, all right? Again, a lot of things can change, but this does kind of tell us that we should experience a potential increase here soon to maybe test the 20-day SMA. Again, maybe. Let's take a look at the 4 hour here, and let's go ahead and see. We are back up above the 20-day SMA, which is nice. That would imply that we're probably back up above the cloud as well. So in that sense, that's a positive sign. Is there a guarantee? Of course not. It could do the exact same thing it did here and start making lower lows. Truth is, it is making higher lows on the 4 hour, but it's not making higher highs. Perfectly fine, in my opinion. I prefer to see higher lows than higher highs at any given point in the trading period, based on the simple fact that we're coming from a decline and we're trying to recover. So it's important for us to keep making higher lows. If this next low comes down and goes lower than 28,700, I think that'd be a cause for a concern. That to me is more concerning. But again, what would probably and could possibly happen is we could just see this type of wedge pattern where it essentially just continues to work its way up and inevitably breaks to the upside. We could very well see that. Again, a lot of things need to change between now and then, or not necessarily change, but we need more volume, which comes as a result of Sunday evening / Monday, Tuesday, like the traditional week. We need to have that. But between now and then, we got to anticipate that the price action is slowly inclining and that it will have some turbulence right at about 30,600. And that was the most recent high. So again, important to make higher highs in this regard. Just in a general sense of the fact that we have a high here, and high here. Those are still lower highs. All right. So even if we have higher lows, if the lower highs continue, it will wash out those higher lows. So I know it seems kind of contradictory and kind of confusing if you think about it, but really the overall trend is down right now, and until it can start making higher highs and higher lows, that's really when we want to have that true on confirmation that it will probably continue higher. Again, until we get there, I would expect the price to go sideways or down from here. That's essentially what it's telling us. Other than that, we're looking at RSI on the 4 hour. We can see we're getting rejected by 50 as well. That is disallowing the price action to increase above, obviously. But more important, you can see this resistance level at 50 on the RSI, which was once again here at 30,600 and now presently at 30,200. So again, if we can break above 30,600 today, I think it'd be a really strong start, especially if we can get above the 50-day SMA on the 4 hour. That'd be awesome. Okay, so mostly good stuff there on the 4 hour. I'd say the 4 hour is kind of more of a transitionary time frame, and in that regard, we have slightly more positive than negative on the 4 hour, which should translate to a slightly more positive than negative 1 day candlestick, right? So that's kind of the concept there. Taking a look here, of course, at the hourly, I want to just verify that we are above the cloud, which we are, but you got to keep in mind, this is not a very strong cloud breakout. The conversion line is above the baseline, awesome. Lagging span is free and clear of price action, but within the next 8 hours, if we can't get this momentous push to the upside to break this, then at that point, we can expect the lower lead to get tested again. And in general, I like to see a cloud breakthrough, but I also like to see some complementing factors. I usually like to see a 4 hour MACD convergence, and we aren't seeing that yet. Yes, it's still converging, if you will, in the overall sense of momentum, but we didn't actually get those lines to cross. And oftentimes when you don't have that true on confirmation from that plus the cloud, it can kind of lead to false positives here. Not saying this is going to lead to a dead cat per se, but it definitely doesn't look like it wants to break out. We really just have to wait, honestly, for another 12 to 24 hours to see kind of what the market tells us it wants to do. A lot of this is going to be contingent on the NASDAQ opening, green. Friday was a green day for NASDAQ, which basically allowed for us to actually have a strong doji potential reversal on Friday. We need to see that happen again and again. Now, again, the whole week doesn't have to be like that. It's not completely reliant on it. But if you haven't been following anything, or maybe you've been living under a rock, the traditional market influences heavily what Bitcoin is doing, specifically more so now than usual, based on the way that the world is, the economy. There's a lot of things that are factoring in, but the bottom line is if Nasdaq, S&P 500, Dow Jones, all those ones are starting to continue to decline, which they kind of are recently, then we can expect the price to continue to come down. So take a look at this here. Of course, a nice gap up on Friday. So if we take a look at this, we gapped up on Friday, but the overall trend is still moving down. So until the regular market can kind of recover, we're probably going to see a lot of suffering from Bitcoin because of that. All right. So just something to kind of think about and try to be aware of. It's not, again, a foolproof situation. Nasdaq can go up and Bitcoin can still go down, but those are things that you want to try to kind of pay attention to. Other than that, honestly, not much else to really note. Being a weekend, kind of low volume, we just want to kind of see how the price action responds soon here, specifically tonight when the Eastern market opens and or tomorrow morning in the US, and just essentially kind of understand specifically, what that's going to tell us. I think our one-day candlestick close tomorrow will really give us a good definitive line and help us understand, but we do need to get above this 31,000 mark, because 31,000 on the daily has been a difficult place to cross. We wicked up there on Friday, couldn't quite pass that, and it's kind of showing that it doesn't want to break that, or it can't break that yet. All right, so a clean close above 31,000 is probably what we're looking for. But for today, honestly, as long as we can kind of continue to go sideways and possibly increase the amount of volume, then we're going to probably be in pretty good shape. Either way, I hope you learned something here today. Thank you so much for joining me here. If you're not a current community member, feel free to consider joining. CryptoCache.tech is a site. I have a trading academy, community, and signal group. I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the video. I apologize, but I do offer discounts for military and, of course, third world countries, essentially low-income housing. So let me know if you have any questions with that. Go ahead and message me, and we'll look forward to reconnecting with you soon. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you.